Full on Rona. Oh,
Boom! We are off with another episode of Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Snyder, here with my boy. Is he wearing sexy lingerie or just a Ramon shirt? Zach Elias, what's up, buddy?
both. This shirt is from '94. I had this in 8th grade. I could pretty much be a phone sex operator right now.
It's the funniest thing you said last week in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah. Fat guy in Idaho. Where did I say she was from?
Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. Tuesdays, we do it live. Saturdays, we post it later. Download, rate, review, subscribe. Follow me on the gram, the Alan Snyder. I'm there. YouTube, Rumble, Stitcher, Spotify. Download, Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. Episode 111 today.
Just the 3 times like that Beetlejuice shows up.
Calling this episode Basic, which we'll get into. But before we do, Zacharias Elias, what you drinking?
There's nothing basic about what we're about to have tonight. I went through that big suitcase you gave me of beers, and I was just surprised at how many of them looked good. So I went for a bad one, the curveball. It's gonna be bad, and I figured we'd get done with it. It is from the Elysian Brewing Company, Salt and Seed. I assume that I'm salt and you're seed. It's a watermelon
Gose, although there's a certain Pichadou of the past who likes to call it a Gosa.
That's awful. Anyway, it's gonna be bad.
It's going to be delicious. It's a sour. It's going to taste a little sweet and sour, kind of like
the salt. Hold the seeds. This goose. Fuck you.
Ghost.
Uses 100% natural watermelon and kosher salt, bittered with Huel melon. What the fuck's a Huel melon? And Northern Brewer hops. Salt and Seed dishes up a confounding pucker to the palate. Ugh.
Release the Kraken.
I hate all these like flavored beers. Just give me wheat and hops and barley and call it a day.
Oh, I like it. That's good. It's not sour. It could be way more sour, my friend.
And you do pucker up. They gave you everything in there. You like this?
Yeah, makes your butthole pucker up.
It's shandy-ish, but it's not.
So today's episode, Zach, we're calling Basic. Now, when I say basic, what does that mean to you? What do you immediately think of when I say basic?
Well, it could be like something simple or easy, like basic training, or is that a basic bitch over there, like some moron?
There's a lot of uses for it. You know, it's like the foundation, it's the strategy of something. Basic training is actually where I was going with my reference, but it also can be basic as in a high pH because it's not acidic. And although
Talk nerdy to me, baby. Talk nerdy.
Ya Basic is a great dig. It's a great comeback, which it's straight out of The Good Place, which has my girl in it. But there is nothing more hard than when Army people talk about basic training as basic. They're like, oh yeah, basic.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. I've seen Full Metal Jacket. It gets real.
How many days do you last?
Do I last?
In basic training, yep.
I go the whole thing because I would be so ashamed to quit. I would kill myself. The problem with lasting through basic training is then they send you to like some godforsaken place to get shot. If you fail out of basic training, don't you just get out of the Army?
Yeah, I think so. It's not like a Navy SEAL where you ring the bell or anything.
Yeah, so I would probably stick it out because I'm not a quitter with stupid shit like that. I'm not saying I would be good. I can't climb a rope. But I'm not bad at obstacle courses. I'd be Private Pile, maybe. They hit me with the soap, but I wouldn't quit because I wouldn't want to quit because I would feel ashamed the rest of my life. I
would quit because of the rashes alone, where you have the wet boots and socks and you have to sleep in that. I'd be miserable.
Well, the wet sock feeling is horrible. That's right. High on my list of really.
I would break out all over. And mosquito bites, I'm out. Day 2.
Day 2? They hit you before they get to hit you with the soap, where you get shot in the bathroom or that kind of thing.
So it made me think of basic training because
much of what I know, by the way, of basic training is Full Metal Jacket and Stripes. Those combine to pretty much give me the idea of it.
Chatapa? You also know that.
There's that, yeah. I wish you were my first sergeant. Amazing.
So for me, Zach, I started a new job yesterday, and I've had to do these mandatory trainings. There is a reason why there is an unemployment problem in this world. I think people just don't want to go through these BS trainings all day, every day. I have been miserable 2 days in a row where it's them talking about stuff that doesn't apply to me or people trying to figure out how to enter a password in on a computer. It has been torture, man. Basic training. This awful. Basic 101 type of stuff. Shoot me in the face.
Did you ever just get out and oops, I thought I was muted. Just something like that. It's like just let them know your disapproval with the process.
I thought I was muted yesterday. For the most part, I was. And then I started goofing around on the internet, and then the Zoom kind of popped up to the upper corner, and I tried to move it, and I guess I didn't. Next thing you know, my mother calls, and I answer it and go, what she says, what are you doing? I went, oh, we're just working on this login stuff. And then the person goes, if everybody could please mute their, and I felt like, oh my God, somehow I unmuted myself, and thank Jesus I didn't say anything stupid.
It would have been amazing if she opened with a, guess who died, for the whole place to hear.
Pretty much. Zach, the guy leading the thing yesterday who signs on, he had all the shtick, which was great. Adam Chandler is his name. And he had
Did you lean into it or not?
Yeah, he leaned into it, which was really nice. He had a lot of like charisma and jokes. And while we were waiting to get started, he starts calling on people to introduce themselves. And of course, your boy is going to get called. And he always asks them, tell us like a quick little elevator pitch. And then he asked a goofy question. So I thought I would ask you today some of the goofy questions I had to sit through people answer yesterday.
Favorite animal? Frog is wrong.
Who plays you in a movie?
Who plays me in a movie?
I was put on the spot. Bradley Cooper.
Why not?
So
wait, does it have to be who you prefer, or who you see yourself being played by, or who actually plays you?
Go ahead. Open-ended question.
No, Bradley Cooper for all. Who actually is it? Maybe the guy from Road Trip, Jason Biggs, if his schedule was free. I can't imagine it's that hard to clear.
He was an Orange and New Black. He had a couple of lead work recently.
Yeah, how was that going for him? What's he up to these days? He's doing the Zach Elias biopic. All right, who plays you?
Well, so I didn't get asked that question, but it was me and one other guy and like 30 girls on this call. So they definitely picked on us.
I like your odds.
Nice black guy, really smart kid. Who plays him in a movie? He goes, Denzel Washington. The guy goes, people always say Denzel. He goes, even the girls say Denzel, which was a something
like Malcolm Jamal Warner and just let the room roar.
I don't know how many people would have known
who
that.
Who cares? The 7 that do, that would have been it for them. They're done. They're cooked. Go on.
So I didn't get asked that. And who plays me in a movie? I've always heard Adam Sandler, but because the guy's name was Chandler, I couldn't go with that. The next question he asked to another random person.
Well, you should say anything random. You can say Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like, make it nuts.
I am trying so hard not to be a putz at this job. And
no you're not. It's part-time.
I still got picked on. It didn't even matter. The next question he asked to another person. Of course, after they ask one of these random questions, your head is like, all right, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And he asked the person tell us about your childhood best friend. So, Zach, tell us about your childhood best friend.
He was a putz. I don't know. He was a guy. He was a friend. He was a nice Jewish boy, and then he went off the grid.
My childhood best friend, thank God I wasn't asked, currently in I think a skilled nursing facility, basically brain dead.
That would have been a downer on the day.
I know. I'm sitting there going, thank God they didn't call me for this question. It was one of those
lunch.
We were good friends in elementary school. He moved, we grew apart, whatever. But this is still one of those like in the community, people like, oh, so and so. And I ran into him a million times over the years. And then he got into a really, really, really bad car accident. It's been many years and horrible. So I'm now going, thank the Lord. And then he calls on me and he says, because I think I was wearing a Stanley Cup shirt and he says, oh, so you're a sports...
Jonah Hill said, and don't look up. Thanks for dressing up.
I was at home on a Zoom call.
Who cares? Church it up from the neck up. At least something normal. Stanley Cup.
So I do my little sales pitch and then he goes, so sometimes, in baseball, the person has songs and music. You're a physical therapist. What song? A walk-up song. So Zach, I said, wait, for baseball or for like therapy? He says, give me both. Zach, your baseball walk-up song and your, whatever you do in this world, real estate transponster, what do you want your song to be when you walk in the office door?
Well, baseball is different than the office door.
I know. Give me both.
Office door, come on, feel the noise. Baseball walk-up song, Sesame Street theme song. And I've thought about this. It's going to be so weird, so quirky that the pitcher's going to get a little fatoots from it. He's used to like, classic rock or some hillbilly Rascal Flatts, something we were talking about but last week. I would play something so bizarre and so weird, or like, Revolution number 9 from the Beatles' White Album. Just noises and sounds. So that the guy who throws me just junk on his first pitch because he's thinking about the song. But if I'm entering a room, anything 80s hairband works, but come on, Billy
Twisted
Boy.
Sister?
What? Quiet Riot,
Quite right. Same band, right?
essentially. Do you know what Twisted Sister's name when they didn't wear their makeup is? Bent Brother. Inside Baseball.
Wow. I do know that the lead singer is a Snyder, so
yeah,
I'm always...
is smart guy too. I have a friend who's like a legit fan. He like jumps on stage. He like used to aim like in America Online Instant Messenger, like D Snyder back in the day. They'd like hang out till 4 a.m. chatting with each other. Guy's nuts. That's besides the point.
We had walk-up music on Purple Softball maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. One of the girls on the team, she's no longer there, used to really go out of her way. So when the guy asked me what was my walk-up song, I immediately went to what I used was Selena Gomez, If You're Ready, Come and Get It, which
That's not bad.
it's a great one. And then but the season before,
Hungry Like the Wolf. You can't beat that.
the season before she left, I switched it to Peanut Butter Jelly Time because I thought that would be like an earworm. Kind of like you're saying, like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
That's exactly it. You want the picture, think you're nuts. Like, not all there. Peanut Butter Jelly Time's a good one.
Right.
For entering an office, too.
For therapy, I just knock on the door. It's peanut butter jelly, yeah.
I just eat Ryan Griffin and the banana.
So then they said to me, well, when you're a therapist, what would you do? And I don't know why I just went, Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA. Awful. At which point he said, we've heard that one before. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It was like, these questions are so hard.
Hip Office.
Right? So the thing was...
Hip Office, sidebar. So I'm in a much, much younger office, my new job. Like, it's not a bunch of alta cockers like me. I'm the old man at 41, and the other guy, the other manager's 47. A bunch of 20-year-old girls said something, man, that's bussin'. And I look at them, they go, do you know what that means? And I said, use it in a sentence. I said, like, bussing tables, like cleaning tables?
No.
What does it mean? Do you know? They told me.
I would have to look it up, but bussin' would be like something good.
If you have to look it up, then you don't know what it means.
I can use it in context.
You have old balls and loose skin. It means like
wrinkly
cool.
Ass.
Yeah,
I said good.
But that's good in context. They just said it like, I didn't hear the context. I just heard them say, do you know what bussin' means? They asked the other guy too. He said something like, cleaning tables. We had no idea. Then I said,
no. You
mean like fat with a PH from our generation? They go, I guess so.
The bomb.
Yeah. Ooh. So then we started like using it. I look up and go, I don't like it. Not for me. Get off my lawn, pretty much.
I've heard it on the talk before, bussin'.
I've never heard it before, and I never need to hear it again. It's awful. It means nothing.
The only thing relevant of this presentation yesterday was I can't imagine he put the slide in.
Did you ask him any questions? Like, favorite superpower and why? Favorite animal?
No.
Oh, I always throw it back at them.
There was like 50 people in a Zoom, Zach. I got called out immediately. I told you, this is 8:30 in the morning. It's the earliest I've woken up in forever. So I'm just trying to be on my best behavior and almost ruined it. He gets to slide number 3, and he was talking about how we're all a family. We all work together. Picture of Full House comes up on the 3rd slide. And this is a day after Bob Saget died. I'm thinking he didn't edit it the night before. He must have used that, and he just
didn't qualify it either.
He did. And when it came up, he was like, with everything that happened, he knew he wasn't oblivious that Bob Saget had just passed away.
By the way, that's an insane setup. Filthy guy, bunch of kids, creepy uncle, best friend. That's not a family. That's an insane. That's who he canceled. That living situation in these days, we canceled.
I've gone down a rabbit hole. He obviously, we all know he was very dirty. He was really funny. He was really funny. I don't know if his stand-up was as funny as he was, because I watched it back in the day, and I think we're going to end up talking about this more. But I haven't listened to a lot of stuff on him, and he's so funny. The best joke I heard him say was, ask me what my favorite episode of Full House was. And, of course, they asked him. He goes, the last one. He is just also Jewish, neurotic as hell.
I sometimes I've been in family TV purgatory. I do that damn kicked in the nuts show for 20 years. That's what he referred to, man.
Yeah. So anyway, all in all, dude, this was one of those things yesterday where I'm like, I hate training, but if you get good enough at something, you get to an exclusive club. And, we take listener requests, as I tell people all the time. And I sent you an article from the Ron Katz all about Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame. Discuss.
Both can be, there's shame in what they did in theory.
How do you do that? How do you put them both in a Hall of Fame for cheating?
Well, no, not both of them in the Hall. They're both in the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Shame to me. Both halls. This is not actually a Hall of Shame.
Do they get a plaque in Cooperstown or not?
Fuck off. Here's why they do. Well, not Clemens because he's a dick, but that's a personal thing. He probably should. They all were using it at the time. Even guys who weren't like superstars. And Ray Ordonez hit just over 200 and stunk. Huge juicer because that's what kept you out of the minors. Eric Gagne comes out throwing smoke, jacked out of his mind. Ken Caminiti's hitting 50 home runs and then dies at 45. Heart explodes. They were all doing it. It was a level playing field type of thing. Did they need it? I don't know. Maybe. What about all the guys in the 70s popping greenies right and left? They said that the ball was like a beach ball and they're all hopped up on amphetamines and wacky pills. So I don't love what they did, especially like Palmeiro waving his finger and exactly. And
Sammy Sosa forgetting English.
He's awful. And McGuire with his head like this and Bonds even bigger. But they still put up those numbers. So what I would do if it's me, and no one asked me until now, but you did. So I have a forum of 12. So I would put them in. No asterisk. That's ridiculous. Enough of the asterisk. I would also somewhere throughout the museum portion of it have a little or a good size section going through the era. If they have a problem with that, they can get themselves out.
So literally you're talking about a Hall of Shame in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's not horrible. I don't hate that.
You're welcome, America.
But then how do you...
You've been great.
But this gets back to the old A-Rod debate. He never tested positive.
So what? You don't have to name names. You could even say there was a Mitchell report where these people were named in it and just list them or just put the Mitchell report. If they want to read the thing, who cares? I read it. I had nothing to do that day at work. I read all
60-some pages.
60? It's like 600. I had
I
a week of nothing to do at
you read
job.
600 pages?
I skimmed some of it, but I read the bulk of it, yeah.
Wow.
It was actually not bad.
This is what you do during your basic
not
training.
Anymore, but I was like in my 20s and couldn't care less about work. In my 40s, not much has changed.
I was gonna say.
But either way, no. So I would have a section just like they explain, the segregation section, the dead ball era, and all that stuff. Just have a section between 1994 and current, or whatever. Steroids ran rampant. Here's how they were doing it, what they were doing. Ball, numbers were inflated. By the way, it brought baseball back, and it was as exciting as anything. It was more exciting than football back then. Balls were flying out. Pitchers were juiced out of their minds. The game was hard-nosed. You could still hit a catcher because Posey didn't break his pinky. Yeah, it was great baseball back then. It was the best sport of the four. And, baseball's done a 180 on it. Just like football's done a 180 on jacked up. Those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Those guys would be thrown out of the league right now. You're Ed Reed.
Jacked Up is a one big ripoff. We were talking about Yo MTV Raps. Ed Lover had a section where he used to talk about Messed Up, I think is what it was called. And he would do a whole thing. I want to say it was on YouTube. And he would just do, he got messed up. And then Jacked Up literally stole that from your boy.
Yeah. I think they're both owned by Viacom. Or no, ABC owns ESPN. Doesn't matter. Yes, that's how I would handle the Hall of Fame situation. So then anyone inducted within those years of playing, you choose. You decide. Let your like smoking. Let your parents tell you what's good and what's bad. Let it be oral history. Anyway, that's how I would handle it. I don't like asterisks because you can put an asterisk on any record anytime they add one more game to a season. Is Cooper Kupp going to have a record? Or is the sack record? Because now it's a 75-game football season. Ridiculous. So, things evolve that way. I would use the museum portion as an educational tool, and hopefully, as you're supposed to, the museum leads you into the hall, so you do the hall last after going through the museum. You should then understand, if you did it right, what you're about to go see.
Says a Mets fan.
How many Orioles are in there in the last, 30 years?
Cal.
1.
Mucina.
As?
I think he wore a Yankee hat.
With a ring and... Exactly. So that's how I would do it.
Fair enough. All right,
and you?
E2.
Yeah.
Ron Katz sent me the article. He said it was worth reading. And today I went to click it, and the New York Times went to charge me $1, and I didn't pay for it. So I'm throwing him or anybody in Piece of the Week. When people recommend you to read something, watch something, and then you have to pay for it, I'm out.
That's a strong candidate. Or he owes you $1.
Or just take screenshots and send it. I don't know if he knows how to do screenshots.
Also, if you're on the computer, You hit refresh and then the X, and it'll freeze it on the page. You can get it. You gotta be quick. It's gonna take you like 4 chance tries sometimes, but it works. Before the little thingy pops up, you freeze the page.
Moving on to
Wait, what would you do? What would you do, you Jew bagel?
What would
How
you
would
do?
you handle? Yeah, throw it right back at you. Kick you some of your own stuff.
I think it's too sticky, and I couldn't care less, to be honest. I think that all
The
these
most
people.
hallowed halls in American, sports history. You couldn't care less.
I think that all of these sports have become the hall of stats or the hall of who cares, and way too many people are getting into the Hall of Fame. It's the Craig Biggio argument. Just
Fine,
because you
but
play forever.
Barry Bonds was electric. He was must-see TV.
Tarnished. Guess what? Henry Ruggs, not getting into the Hall of Fame. He was electric.
Well, I mean, that's different. He has no sample size.
Oh, so you're okay with him killing somebody. It was that he didn't have enough his big a body of work.
No, Ruggs is different than Bonds. Who'd he kill? But, Bonds was electric. You tuned in to see Bonds. It was a special night in America when Bonds was going to those records.
Freshman year of college, I had a dry erase board. I was keeping track of his home run thing. I thought it was super cool. That being said, you know what? I think they tarnished their
You weren't doing it in
legacies.
soap like the Dominicans on the Sosa? On their cars? They were all running around with like 54. Yeah, there's a lot going on. All of them had it. And then another one, they would wipe off the soap. 58. Yeah.
So, no, I just think all those people tarnish their legacies, and it gets so tricky with who actually did it.
Killed the guy.
Who got caught doing it. For me, no go. I also am one of those people of how dominant of a player were you? Like, I'm one of those people that say Curt Schilling should be in the Hall. So should Roy Halladay. If you were a scary, scary pitcher for many years, then I don't have a problem with that.
Halladay was the Yankee killer to end all Yankee killers.
Yep. Anyway, moving on to P-Should-Do of the week. They're not great candidates.
Charging you for $1 for the thing.
All right, Ron Katz,
He's
number
in
one.
There, yeah.
John Daly, who I know you love him. Hear me out.
I love John Daly. Top 5 golfer for me.
He was quoted recently of coming out, and the clickbait was John Daly names the best wings he's ever had. And wouldn't you know, he chose Hooters. And I think the P-Should-Do of the week is people who don't think Hooters has amazing wings. Because even John Daly says they're amazing, and I pick food up from there sometimes.
How drunk was he when he said this? By the way, he's high on my list of like athletes I'd want to meet and like who would you want to have a dinner with? 4 athletes. He's at that table because I don't need to hear Roger Clemens stories. I want to hear John Daly stories and get tanked with him and just see where the night goes. The 9th green at 9. Let's go.
Number 2, it was meant in good will, if you will. Emma Watson, Hermione Granger.
Yeah, I started watching those. I can't read the books, but we finished 3. I thought
she went ahead and retweeted.
Gary Oldman was wasted in it.
She posted a "Why can't the world get along?" type of hippy dippy peace in the Middle East, pro-Palestinian, I think, post on Instagram or something.
Oh, boy.
And it's just one of those things for me where I very much believe. Granted, I think you and I are on the same side of this argument. We know that you can't make things good in the Middle East, right? You can't make it because Palestine says it's their land.
Jared Kushner couldn't do it, then nobody can.
They just go back and forth to whose land is it, who was there first, and we try to be peaceful. They try to do this, and I understand both sides.
They try to do what?
Shut up and dribble.
Exactly.
I really think that you can't the same way Ben and Jerry's did the same thing with a pro-Palestinian. Just shut up. Why? I don't care what you have to say about this, and you can't take a side on it. As somebody who's pro-Israel, you just can't take a side on it. You can't.
Can't you?
No, because you're wrong. You're wrong for taking a side. It's like in Don't Look Up where they're like, I think the world just needs peace right now. It's like, there's a goddamn meteor hitting the earth. I think it's tone deaf.
Comic creates jobs.
I don't want to hear any of these celebrities coming out with something like that. Again,
maybe it's just because celebrities, any of their hot takes. Unless you're like Bono or Sting, then I'll take it from them. But I don't need to hear it from, Emma Watson, who's 11.
Went out to dinner last week. I was talking about Hermione with a friend, and I made a comment. I was like, I've seen her nudes online. And he goes, there's nudes? I was like, oh, yeah, verified. And he goes, send me that link. I did. I still haven't gotten a response.
I googled them this week.
Candidate.
I googled them this week because we started watching the movies, and she was too young in the first one for it to be okay. But in the third one, I felt, let's do this thing. And the third one was not that good.
Candidate number 3. Ex-Subway spokesman Jared Fogle has admitted from prison that he royally screwed up. That's it. Why is he talking? Why is anybody listening?
Well, nobody should listening, but if he wants to admit he was wrong, I'm okay with that. Nobody should listen to him, but go on.
This next one I actually really like, and I'm going to take a weird stance on this. You heard about the Antonio Brown, Tom Brady's trainer. There was a whole little debacle there. Antonio Brown, I think, bought $100,000 worth of training sessions from Tom Brady's trainer, and then he didn't get his workouts, and now he's asking for money back, or he's suing him, or something to that effect.
Something like that, yeah.
Here's what bothers me the most. It was just all over Instagram and tagging people.
That Brady's trainer charges that much?
No. That Tom Brady's trainer on Instagram, his name is AG, which I think stands for his initials, _ TB12. That bothers me a lot.
Why? It's the marketing.
Post pictures. You should have your own identity. Post pictures with him, have him promote you, but change your name to it? Like, it's insane.
It must be nice to have the kind of money you've got, clearly, because if that was how I was pulling in clients, oh, yeah, bring it here.
So, Obama needs
_ John Daly. Let's go, because I'm his trainer.
Clinton, Obama, any of them need physical therapy, and I start training them. Let's just forget about HIPAA rules. I'm not changing my Instagram name to the Alan Snyder _ Obama. No chance.
You should.
I would use pictures. I would do promotions. Get out of here.
Right.
Also, he's one guy. He doesn't have a business. He can only train so many people. The name thing really bothers me.
It does bother you. I like it because it bothers you.
A lot. It's stupid. It's like the whole property of...
What, those T-shirts?
Or tattoos.
Ugh. Awful.
It's one of those you shouldn't
You'll get one. Trust me, you're getting one in Mexico.
The other one is people, next candidate for Peach of the Week, people who are not colorblind but have a really, really big problem seeing color or disagreeing with color. I was talking to somebody the other day about a actress in a TV show, and they described them as a blonde woman. And this girl in this show's hair is as brunette as you can get. Maybe she has a couple of highlights, but this asshole I was talking to argued with me that she was blonde to the point that I had to doubt myself, go online and Google.
Found the one brunette picture of her. Every other picture of her, plus the show that she was in for one season with, it was delightful. It was like an animal show with your boy Fluffy Iglesias. Blonde as
That's Timmy's boy. I think he's horrible.
Yeah, I know you hate him. So the fact that she might have brown eyebrows and be a fake blonde, and we said Carpet can't match any drapes because there is none. But obviously. So the actress in question for everyone, Peyton List, blonde or brunette? Crowd.
Nobody knows who that is. Use her name.
Google her. Peyton List. That's her name.
We're talking about the girl, the bad girl from the bad side of the tracks, Tori from Cobra Kai.
Which this season is delightfully unwatchable.
Delightfully unwatchable is exactly.
Absolutely nostalgia and fantastic, but the acting is just, they're getting worse at their trade progressively, all of them.
I was saying the other day how I don't rewatch shows because I generally can remember what happens the first time. The storylines have been so ridiculous that I've forgotten how we've gotten to half of these places.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just make
it doesn't.
Shows. Just make fun of Chicago.
Anyway, people arguing about hair color when we're both clearly watching a show where the girl's hair is brown and you're arguing.
It's not brown. It's blonde. It has a brown streak through here and it's blonde the whole time. Other seasons, blonde. The whole thing. She's a blonde chick. Girl, lady. Woman.
And the last candidate.
How many are there?
Peach-a-doo of the week. I saw this on
recap.
I saw this online, and this was a guy who was getting all the hate online, and he went out in a shirt, and I don't know if the shirt shrunk. I don't know what happened, but for our listening audience, Zach, describe this man in this picture and his shirt.
Little.
A button-down shirt where those buttons are holding on for dear life.
That thing is like one sip of water, from flying off of him.
He is there posing for a picture with his friend. Would you ever go out in something like that? Or
if my friend is wearing a champion hat, I might. So what are my choices?
You got John Daly Hooters, Emma Watson Palestine, Jared Fogle, Tom Brady trainer, Tori's hair not being brunette, This guy's sure too tight, and we'll just call him Con Rats, who sends you an article to read where they charge you $1.
It's probably Ron Katz. What really bothers me though is Emma Watson's hot takes. I'm going to throw in a curveball. Anyone who asks you to go on a podcast and be a guest host, and said podcast is 2.5 hours on a Friday. Our girl, you and I, Kendra Crump, we were guest stars, fantastic theater. 2.5 hours. By 11:30, I felt like I gave birth. I was dying. Parts of it are hysterical. You send a link somewhere, post it. Parts of it are going to be just painfully bad. We were with two other girls who you'll meet at some point. They were great. The Feelings. I started listening to The Feelings. It's okay. But that was a painful podcast. 2.5 hours.
It was so bad.
It was.
By the end, it
parts
was so
of it were
bad.
really good.
At
But
the
yeah,
end, I just said, "Do you know what bombing is? Because this is not going well." And we wrapped it up in a bow in like 2 minutes after I said that.
We all just had enough. It was
exhausted. And the girls we're talking to were on the West Coast. So, Zach, it was like 8 o'clock for them.
Yeah, we were there. It was, it was tomorrow. It was just brutal. That's my piece of doing. That and Novak Djokovic, who is he going to play? Is he not going to play? He got cleared by some shady witch doctor. Then tennis said no. Then tennis said yes. Now Australia is saying we're not sure.
And his brother is his speaker or something?
He's got a lot. There's a lot going on. Australia is still flipping a coin on this one if he's even allowed to touch base. And then the venue still can ban him too. If they don't want to deal with his antics, he'll play.
Trivia this week. We got a little time. We'll fly through these. I watched the new I Love Lucy movie on Amazon. It's called Being the Ricardos. I actually grew up liking Lucy. My parents watched it. I think my grandma watched it. It was one of those.
Everyone I know loves Lucy. I don't get it. It's funny-ish. I was always a Honeymooners guy for old shows. I Love Lucy doesn't get me there.
Right. It got me there. This movie is so bad. There are so many time jumps in the story that if
Picking up midway through this can, it grew on me significantly. I think I hit the salt.
What grew on you?
The can, the beer.
Oh, okay.
I hated it. It started growing. I can drink that again.
If I was in the movie theater and I wouldn't have been allowed to take out my phone to Google as the movie was happening, I would have been so lost because no dates on the movie. I had no idea what was happening in this movie. It was insane. Anyways, trivia this week.
Are they bringing back the Honeymooners, Samantha? I mean, if you can find Art Carney, dig them up.
I am going to be testing your knowledge today on black and white TV shows from the past.
Somewhere else. Okay.
Question number 1. I'll give you the clue. You tell me the show. From 1961 to 65, the show's title character is a talking horse.
Mr. Ed.
Know what I didn't know about that? It was spelled out Mr. I Googled MR Ed. Didn't come up.
Scintillating.
Did you remember that it was full written out Mr. Ed?
No, I have no idea.
Does that surprise you, or am I being
Shocked
ridiculous
me,
here?
actually. I think you will both. I'm also breaking your balls. But I would have said Mr. MR. I figured 2 short letters would have made it better.
Question the second. From 64 to 72, a witch who marries an ordinary mortal man and vows to lead the life of a typical suburban housewife.
Oh, it's Bewitched.
Can you do the nose thing?
No.
I'm going to clip that and put it on the talk.
You didn't put my pizza thing on there. That was Dynamite.
I forgot, Zach. There's so much work.
You're so busy. You've worked for 2 days and 4 years.
Question number 3. New York City bus driver Ralph Cramden, played by Jackie Gleason, and his wife Alice, had only
to the moon.
1 season.
It was a great season.
Plus or minus 5. How many episodes in that 1 season?
Oh. I'm going to say it was 16.
Double it?
Really?
Still not there. 39 episodes in the 1 season of The Honeymooners.
Yeah, it was more than 16.
When you are giving people tours or talking, maybe that doesn't happen for you as much. Do you show people the statue of him at Port Authority?
How many times do you think I tour Port Authority when I show people around, hey, this is the bus depot where the hobos
When you're near
live.
Times Square and you're showing someone there's also
rare that I show people, but if I'm there, yes, I would probably point it out. Like I was randomly in, Milwaukee, I'd show them the Fonz. But I know his statue. I've seen the statue. I don't go for it, as a tourist destination.
Question number 4 from 1957 to 1963 about an inquisitive and often naive boy, Theodore Cleaver, played by Jerry Mathers. Name the show.
What's the dirtiest thing I ever said on television? Ward, I think you were a little hard on the beaver last night.
Nice.
You know what that's from? It's from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't think you'd
Leave
get
it to
that one.
Beaver.
I thought that was going to be one of those. I have no idea. I'm going full-blown Allison here. And
Who's doing what to Allison?
last one, question number 5. Running from 62 to 71, a poor backwoods family from the hills of the Ozarks moved to posh California after striking oil on their land.
The Beverly Hillbillies. That was a terrible show.
Very nice, Zach. Good job.
I know my 50s TV or 60s
Very nice.
TV.
Anyway, if you get to this being the Ricardos,
I
like the way
probably-
I take my recommendations,
Jenna loves I
especially,
Love Lucy. I don't think it's going to be.
so
for me.
did I. It is so goddamn bad. It is
I heard
unwatchable.
the acting was good. I heard they played the roles well.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
We have been asking for suggestions. Zach, we got a suggestion from one of our listeners because to do an audience participation.
Which listener?
I'm not naming him. He knows who he is.
Oh,
Next
God.
week, audience participation, because there's been so many crazy deaths recently between Madden and Betty White, who died of a stroke, apparently. She had a stroke, and then she died a couple days later. Bob Saget, Norm last year. We want people to
Don
let
Maynard, deceased. Jets receiver. Retired number, Hall of Fame.
let us know which deaths affected you the most. And we're going with like celebrities here with this, or famous people that died. This is kind of a morbid episode. And
Not
you
if
know
you
what?
fluff it up. Well, we call it Guess Who Died.
Guess who died? So people are going to send that in. I will tally them up. I'll ask some people stuff. Zach, we'll probably make a list of like 5 with some honorable mentions.
5 tops, yeah.
5 tops. Go from there. Let us know. Booze your daddy, the podcast. Thanks for listening to this
Wait, does it
episode.
have to be in your lifetime or just the fact that they're not around anymore and you like their oeuvre?
Have we ever had any type of stipulations?
The whole thing is rules. It's a very structured show.
What, the porno?
What in the porno? It's great. I'm sure those 2 feeling broads will have something good to say too.
All right. We out.
2 weeks. All right. Good times.